And with that, we switch to English because, as always, we are going to do content-language integrated learning. I have opened the example that we had last week. This was the, no, this is the wrong code. Sorry, this is the right code. Last week we started with the TicTacToe with the Connect 3 example. And as you correctly said, you can start the Angular app. Just a quick repetition with npm start. Let's do that. Today we are going to dive deeper into some aspects of Angular, into some aspects of TypeScript, and you will have the chance to also write your own code a little bit. First, I would like to tell you, maybe again, I can't remember if I told you that last time, what this npm start is all about. npm is, as you know, we did it last week, the node package manager. And if we say npm start, this really references the package.json file, because this npm start references this script. And this is essentially the Angular CLI. I think we discussed that last time, right? Good. So you can remember that. Very well. Now, where does this Angular CLI come from? And this is a little bit more of a deep dive. The Angular CLI is part of your dependencies. You see that one? So when we created the Angular app, the CLI was installed as part of our Angular dependencies. If you can remember from last week, the dependencies are stored here in this node modules folder. And if you take a look here, you have this Angular subfolder here. And if we open this up, we see the CLI. And here we really see the entire Angular CLI. Inside of the CLI folder, I can open it up. You see ng.js. So if you really want to take a look at how the Angular CLI is implemented, I can click on that one, and you can see how this is implemented. Of course, this is just an entry point. It will call other modules, but this is essentially what gets called. Understand what I mean? So if you do npm start, you really run package.json start ng. This ng is in fact a JavaScript file, which is then executed. Well, if you want to know exactly what's going on, it's a little bit more difficult, because inside of this node modules folder, there is a very special folder which is called .bin. And what's really going to happen is that inside of this .bin folder, I can scroll down a little bit, and if I reach n, we see the ng here. See that one? So this is the real program that is executed. For instance, this ng.cmd. But do you see what's going to happen? This is calling the Angular CLI bin ng.js. This is what's really going on. So again, when we call npm start, the system looks in packages.json for the script called start. This script start is called ng, and this ng is located in node modules bin. Inside of this .bin, now the node modules / Angular CLI bin ng.js is called. This is what's going to happen behind the scenes. Do you need to absolutely know that to be able to be a good Angular developer? No. But it is kind of interesting to understand, because sometimes things go wrong and the system says, hey, I can't find ng. And then you need to understand what's going on behind the scenes in order to do proper troubleshooting. Okay? But yeah, it's for your interest. Now we understand how this is going on. This is the .bin folder inside of this node modules folder. Very good. Long story short, call npm start and we are good. That gives us an opened port, port 4200. That's the standard port of Angular. And if I open this port, I thought I clicked on it, but maybe I didn't. I will try it again. Come on. Now it's here. Just took a while. This is what we built last time. Level 1, there was no interaction. Level 2, we had a little bit of interaction going on. Let's quickly recap what we did in level 2, and then let's dive a little bit deeper into what we did last time. Level 2 had a bunch of so-called bindings. Can you remember? We had this binding, square brackets. It was the attribute binding, or class binding in this case, to be more specific. We had this binding here. This was the event binding, because we have a click event. And the third one was this one with the double moustache syntax. This double moustache syntax is a so-called interpolation. Very well. Now, inside of these bindings, we have getStyle, set, and getPlayerName. What are they? They are, yeah? Methods. Exactly, methods in TypeScript. That brings us to the TypeScript file. In TypeScript, we really see what the components are all about. A component in Angular is in fact a class. You know from other programming languages and other courses what a class is. Can anybody describe what a class is? It's a really hard thing. You might know it, but how would you define a class?
A blueprint of
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Yes, blueprint. We can call it a blueprint. Let me describe it in a different way for you. What is a table? Well, if you had to describe a table for me, what would you say? It has a board on top, and it has 4 legs, and we can have lunch on it, or we can write on it, we can put something on it. That's a table, right? But there are many, 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 many different kinds of tables, right? For instance, the table can have a specific material. It can be made of wood, or plastic, or whatever. It can have 4 legs, or 2 legs, or maybe 3 legs, because this is broken, whatever. Understand what I mean? So blueprint is very nice, because the class is generally the table. It isn't a concrete table. The class is more a blueprint of everything, and we define common properties. The table has a property material. The table has a property number of legs. The table might have operations on it. Well, the table doesn't have very useful operations, but think of a car. The car could have a method drive. If it is a self-driving car, we could say drive to somewhere, and then it would drive. So blueprint is a very nice way of describing a class. The object is then an instance of the class, a concrete thing where I can point to with my finger. This table, this class, this car out there. And this has concrete properties with concrete methods implementations. So this is the difference between a class and an object. Good, very good. So an Angular UI component is a class. Here, at the beginning, this was a so-called decorator. We had the reference to the HTML file, which is here, and the CSS file, which is here. Last time I told you about local styles and global styles, and I hope you can remember that. If not, rewatch the video. Rewatch the recording. Now let's take a look a little bit closer at classes in TypeScript. Please do not follow along. Try to understand what I do. You will have enough time to experiment on your own. There is a nice little tool which is called the TypeScript Playground. The TypeScript Playground allows us to type in TypeScript on the left-hand side, and we see the resulting JavaScript or the execution of the file on the right-hand side. It's good to describe what TypeScript is all about. Now a class in TypeScript is declared like that. Class, let's call it car, okay? Good, or let's take a cat. Let's take a cat, yeah, class cat. The class can have properties. For instance, we can say we have a public color string. This gives us a warning because it says, hey Rainer, you defined that color is a string, but you don't give the color a value. So what we can do is we can initialize this color with an initial value. Now the color is defined.
What we need to do.
Good, very good, very good, very good. Do you know any other possibility how to get rid of this problem?
Constructor.
We can put it in the constructor, but if I don't want to give color a value, color can be empty.
Question mark.
Where?
And at the end of the
Here?
data type.
Nope. Yeah.
I think in front of color.
Oh yes, not in front, but at the end of color. That means it's an optional property. It's an optional field, to be more specific. That means cat can have a color, but you don't need to have a color. The third option, I will show you the third option too, because that is another aspect of TypeScript that you can remember. What we can do is we can define a constructor, something like this, and then we can say this.color equals to, by default, all cats are black. You know from other programming languages what a constructor is, right?
Yes.
And the syntax in TypeScript is that. This is how you write a constructor in TypeScript. We can also ask for the color in the constructor. So we can say, give me the color in the constructor, and then we can write here color. Got it? So the important thing that you have to remember when you write TypeScript, and that is different from programming languages like Java or C#, is this syntax, :type. You find this over and over and over again. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's also like this in Kotlin.
Oh yeah, I see.
That's also where I got the question
Okay.
at the end of the data type.
Good. It's like that in Kotlin. I have no idea. I'm not a Kotlin developer. I'm very sorry for that. But yep, I believe you. I trust you. Now, how do we create an object of a cat? We can create a new cat. So we can say, let C equals new cat, and this cat is black. Pretty clear, right? New, we know that. Use the name of the class, everything's fine. And then we can, for instance, say console log c.color to access the color of the cat. So far, so good, right? Good, very good. Now let's add some behavior. Let's add a method. We already did that last week, but today we take it a little step further. We can, for instance, say public make sound, no parameters, no return value, console log meow. This parameter list, this return type. This is how you write it in TypeScript. So we can say c.makeSound, everything is good. We can also create a method which is called getSound, and this getSound method returns string. Return meow. This is now a return type. Understood? Good. Very good. If we want to have parameters of the methods, we use exactly the syntax up here. I do not need to show you that. Does anybody know how we create a property, a so-called property assessor in JavaScript or TypeScript? Nope. Public get sound. And then we can say return meow. Sorry, I forgot the parentheses. This will now enable console log c.sound without brackets, without braces here. So this is now a property accessor. See it? The get is reading, and guess what? Set would mean the setter. A type, yeah, good question. I forgot the type here. Why didn't TypeScript complain? Answer, TypeScript is smart. TypeScript will automatically look for the return statement, take the data type of the return statement, and make it the data type of the property or method or whatever you define. So, strictly speaking, this is optional, but not in Angular. Angular has a very strict mode for TypeScript, and Angular says, I want a data type of every return, I want the data type for the return value. So it is good practice to write the data type as the return type. And check out in contrast to the TypeScript implementation, the implementation in JavaScript. Do you see the difference? We have a class, just like in TypeScript. We have the constructor, just like in TypeScript. We have the method, we have the getter. The difference is just the types. You see? The only difference is that in JavaScript you don't have this type. You do not have this type. You do not have this type. These types are gone. And that's the difference between TypeScript and JavaScript. Modern JavaScript is like TypeScript, but without fixed types. Everything else looks really, really similar. Awesome. I like that. Now let's go back to our implementation and let's take a look at what we programmed last time. We had a bunch of fields. Private, I think it's clear. Public, I think it's clear. We have number. By the way, let's try to gather the most important data types in JavaScript, respectively TypeScript. Number, clear. What else do we have? String, clear. What else do we have? Yeah? No, just string. Yeah. Float, no, just number. This is a very important thing. JavaScript does not know int or float. Everything is float in JavaScript. And TypeScript inherits this property. TypeScript has just floating point values. There is no integer value. Internally, TypeScript and JavaScript have integers, but you just have number, nothing else. Strange, isn't it? Yes?
Maybe bool.
Bool, boolean, yes. What else? Yeah? Array. In fact, there isn't just an array in TypeScript. It is always a typed array. So we can, for instance, say it's a number array. But yes, the data type is called an array. Right, good. Object. Object is a data type. Every class that you create is of type object. So object is a data type. And now buckle up. Null is a data type. Undefined is a data type. Never is a data type. Unknown is a data type. Strange, isn't it? Welcome to the world of JavaScript and TypeScript. They have a lot of really weird data types, and we are going to use them over and over again. Okay? Now I have a little quiz for you. I'm looking forward to hearing your guesses. Let's see. Let numbers. This is easy, right? What is the data type of numbers? This is a rhetorical question. You all know it. I hover over it. It's numbers array. Clear, right? But now, what is the data type of numbers? First, wow, that really works. That's crazy. Try that in C#. Never works. Yes?
Maybe undefined?
Undefined. Good idea. No, it's not undefined. Yes?
Unknown.
Unknown. No, not unknown. Yeah?
Object?
Object. No, not object. It's way cooler. Oh my God. Yes, TypeScript has union data types. You can say it's a string or a number. So what I can say numbers.push 5. That's okay. I can say numbers.push 6. That's okay. Let's try numbers.push true. Nope. Because it's a string or a number, not a boolean. Awesome, isn't it? That's TypeScript. TypeScript is really, really powerful. What if I want to allow booleans? No problem. Colon. Something like this. String or number or boolean. Works. Just numbers or strings or booleans.
And why do we want that?
Because we can. No, there are really useful applications. For instance, let maybe a number colon number undefined. Do you get the idea? Now I can say maybe a number equals 40. Works. I can say maybe a number equals undefined. Works. But if I remove this one, This is no longer possible. That's crazy, crazy good. Crazy in a good way, right? Yeah, question. Good. So remember that. That's possible in TypeScript, and that's really awesome. It's really good, and you use it pretty often. Nice. Next one. Somebody said var, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, if I would be in the movie, how is it called? Man in Black, I would now take this thingy out of my bag and would say, forget var, and then a flash comes in and you forget var. Var, this var, I want you really, okay, to forget var in this course. It's like go to no var in TypeScript anymore. I know you have used var in JavaScript, probably, and I don't want to see var anymore. Never. Var is our enemy. We hate var. We use either let, something like this. Let allows us to change the value. That's okay. Or if we create a value that shouldn't be changed, we use const. That's okay. But no var. Let for things that can change, const for things that cannot change. And I will not describe why you shouldn't use var, just believe me.
Is there any case where you would use var?
No.
Okay.
Simply no.
So it's not like the thing with the double
No.
equals?
No.
Okay.
Simply no.
Correct.
Var has historical reasons. The original developers of JavaScript, they wanted to make their life easier. And they invented this var thing, which was in fact a hack, a really stupid hack. A lot of my gray hairs come from using var and all the strange behaviors of var. Var behaves differently from a variable in Java, in C#. It has very specific behavior. And you don't want that, believe me. Modern versions of JavaScript do not use var. They use let and const. And if you see me typing var in a code, that's just because I'm old. And then you can point it out and say that's a mistake. Use let or const. Okay? So no var in TypeScript and no var in JavaScript. Nice. So we have arrays. We have a jagged array here. We have an array initializer here. We have an array initializer here. I think this looks good. Nothing special here. Here we see the practical use of the parameter values here and the return type. Just what I told you before. We talked about the string interpolation, the so-called templates. If this isn't clear for you, please let me know. I told you that we always use either the triple equal or not equal. Just like var, don't use double equal or not equal with the second equal sign. Do you know what the difference is between double equal and triple equal? It does strange type conversions. For instance, if I go here in JavaScript and I can say 1 equals 1, and the result is true, although the types differ. If I say 1 equals 1, then it is false because it has different data types. Understand what I mean? And double equal also has a lot of additional strangenesses to it. So simply don't use it. If you really don't know what you want to achieve is a double equal, just use this one. That brings us to another aspect of JavaScript that is also true for TypeScript. And I have to describe it because we are going to use it in many cases. Let me show you what I mean. I will say const something is true of type Boolean, and that is true. If something is true, console log true. That's pretty clear, and I think I don't need to describe what's going on here, right? That's obvious. By the way, in this case, we can leave out the data type because the data type is automatically derived from the right-hand side expression of the assignment. Now, const something is a number, 42. If something is a number, And we do exactly what we had here. But I'm saying, yeah, true. True is okay. You see, that compiles, that works. No warning here. And what is the result? Let's run it. It says true for the first and true for the second. Now let's change this 42 to 0. And suddenly, we get true, only 1. Now what we have here is the so-called truthiness of a value. It's not true, it's truthy. It's kind of true. And the rule is, if something is not 0 as a number, it's true. 0 is false. It is like it is. That's JavaScript, that's TypeScript. Welcome. What is with the string? Const, something is string. Foobar. If something is string, does that work too? Yes, it does. Console log true. Bless you. Does it work? Yes. Is it true? Yes. What do you think happens now? It's false. An empty string is false. Strange, right? The same is true with undefined. If I say undefined, it's false. Undefined is always false. What about null? Null is always, what do you guess? False. Right. Exactly. Exactly. So essentially, when I have a string here and I simply write if something is string, then I'm really saying, and listen closely, I'm really saying if this string is null or undefined or empty, then it's false. Do you know the famous function in C#, string.is null or empty?
Yeah.
You don't need that in JavaScript. Because you can simply use the string as a Boolean value and it will behave automatically correctly. If you want to make it very, very clear for a reader of your code, you can do something like that. What is that? What is the exclamation mark in general? Yeah?
Negation.
Negation, exactly. And why do I do 2 negations? It's a typecast. I have a string. The string is truthy or falsy. By negating it, I'm creating the inverse Boolean value, and then I'm negating the Boolean value again, and the result will be true or false. Sometimes in Stack Overflow, you will really see things like that. That's not magic. It's just not with a typecast. If you want to define a data type, something like const x equals not something is string. What is then the data type of x? It is a Boolean. Or in this case, it's false because we have a constant string here. We need something to input here, but I think you get the point. I can say string, then it's clearer. It's Boolean, you see? It's really a typecast. So double negation was correct, but it's a typecast. Did you already fall in love with JavaScript? It's a powerful language. If you know these quirks, it's perfectly okay, and it works really well. And last time we also say set. Very good. Good. Now, last time we did it so far that we, let me see, let me check. Yes, exactly. That we can play here a little bit, but I cannot restart. First thing that we do together today, and I ask you to now join in, if I click restart, I want to reset the game to its original state, no X's, no O's. How can I do that? Lead me through it. What kind of binding do I need in HTML? Exactly. Can I write it like that?
The round.
Exactly. We need it like that, the round. Exactly. Let's call it on restart. 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 Something like this. And then we go into the TypeScript code. And we can add the method. Public on restart. We define the result type. It's void. And now the error went away. See? What do we need to do if we want to restart the game? Let me fold everything so we see it on a single screen. What do we need to do? Yes? Okay, what was the original value? This, right?
Yes.
Okay, what else do we need to do?
And current player index to 1 again.
And?
And the winner also.
Exactly, so what we can really do, take a look at what I do. I take these 3 lines, I cut them here, I put them in the onRestart here, and I simply call this dot onRestart in the constructor. That's perfectly fine. But now I have a huge problem. See? Why do I have this problem? This problem is by design. I made it consciously like that. Yes, you were the first? Exactly. TypeScript is too stupid to understand that the constructor calls onRestart and onRestart initializes our variables. TypeScript cannot recognize that. And now I tell you a secret. We can help TypeScript. We can make this thing, I told you that, optional, but that is not ideal. We can also say bang operator, exclamation mark. And what this bang operator does is it says, TypeScript, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. That is what we are saying. We simply say, TypeScript, don't warn me, current player index is initialized. You are just too stupid to see it. Okay? That's the bang operator. In German, auf den Tisch hauen, yeah? Bang. No, this is okay. Same is true in C#, by the way. If you have warnings in C#, you can disable this null warnings, for instance, by saying bang operator. It is null. I want to have it null. And then the warning goes away. Use it rarely and only when you are really absolutely sure. In this case, it's okay. Question?
Empty.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because we know that it's initialized with onRestart. Now we can try it. Here, click, 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 restart, looks good. Click, 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 restart, looks good. Okay, and now I have an exercise for you. The next method that we need will be an internal helper method, private get winner index number. And what should this method do? I'm going to use JavaScript documentation. This is the standard documentation of JavaScript. Give me 1 more minute. It gets the player, either 1 or 2, who has won the game. It returns the player 1 or 2 who has won, or 0 if there is no winner yet. Okay? We will now do a 5-minute break, and after the 5-minute break, I want everybody to invest, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, to write the necessary code to find out who won the tic-tac-toe. Very simple. 3 in a row, 3 in a column, 3 in a diagonal. Good? Nice. Let's make 5 minutes break and then we will continue.